Shalom, shalom. Giving all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Holy One of Yisrael. It is a great blessing to be able to give praises to the true and living Elohim in the little sanctuary that He has set for His people. I am your host this evening, Mowreh IshYAH of the House of Yisrael, located at 1907 Vine Street. Standing in for the senior Mowreh here at the House of Yisrael, Mowreh IshYAH, and this is nothing but the truth. And we're giving all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Holy One of Yisrael, whose name alone is Yahweh. Now, who is Yah? Well, Yahweh is the creator of the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that in them is. Yahweh is the Savior and the Redeemer of not only Israel, but of the entire world. Yahweh is our lawgiver, Yahweh is our judge, and Yahweh is our king, and He alone will save us. So we give all honor, glory, and praises to the Holy One of Israel, whose name alone is Yah. And let me say shalom to all of our people that are listening via the internet, whether it be Facebook or YouTube. For we know that the only reason why you are tuned in is because of your fear and your love towards the Creator, Yahweh our Elohim. And what will we be discussing this evening? Well, we will be discussing this evening a topic of very great importance and very great substance. Something that is so important that the Most High has regulated it. Not only has He regulated by giving His law, but by giving His testimonies as well. And it's something that many nations stand against today. And many of our people stand against. And it's all about the blood and how important it is, because Yahweh said that the life is in the blood. And this breeds nothing but the truth, because no matter what the scientists try to teach, no matter what the doctors try to hypothesize, no matter what tries to get philosophized, the only thing that you see standing true and reigning true is the words of Yahweh. And Yahweh said that the life is in the blood. It's the maintainer of life. It is the life. And this the life of all flesh. So it doesn't matter whether you black, white, beast, insect. The life is in the blood. And when you take away the blood, you take away the life. And when you take away the life, you take away the very existence. And this is why Yahweh has maintained that this must be protected at all righteous cost. And the first testimony that we read about this not being considered, this not being implemented, is with one of the sons of Adam in the book of Genesis, the 4th chapter. If you turn with me there. And in the book of Genesis, the 4th chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 8th verse. And this testimony is about Adam. He had 2 sons, Cain and Abel, and they both presented offerings before the Most High. But Yahweh had respect unto Abel's offering, but He didn't have it unto Cain's. And we're going to read what took place, and we're going to read why the Most High didn't have respect unto Abel's offering. In Genesis, the 4th chapter, and the 8th verse, and it reads, "And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him." See, Yahweh says that man judges on the outward appearance, but Yahweh judges the heart. And He already knew the heart of Cain. A lot of people teach that Cain's offering wasn't respected because he brought the worst. He brought the worst of his offering. But no, Yahweh knows the heart. And Yahweh is not a respecter of person. Yahweh doesn't care whether we bring him pure gold, pure shining gold. If our heart is not in it, then Yahweh won't accept it. Because Yahweh is not impressed by it, because Yahweh is the creator of it. He's the creator of the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that in them is. And Yahweh is the creator of man and beast. And it is his ruach that we live by. And it is the blood that Yahweh has given that courses through his vein, is the blood that courses through our veins. So Cain rose up on his brother against Abel his brother, and he slew him. And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel your brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now thou art cursed. See, Yahweh knew that something egregious had taken place. Something evil had taken place. Something very wicked has taken place. His brother's blood has been shed, and now his brother's blood is crying unto Yahweh from the ground. And as soon as he heard the cries of Abel, he said, look, now you are cursed from the earth, which have opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. And when thou till the ground, it shall not henceforth yield you her strength. And a fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth. And Cain said unto Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from the face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And Yah said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, and lest any finding him should kill him. So even in the judgment of Yahweh, Yahweh could have said, well, if you go out there and you get killed, you just killed. You wasn't careful about taking your brother's life. You wasn't considering your brother's life. You just went out and you just shed blood of your brother, and didn't even be concerned. Then when I inquire of you about it, you said, well, look, am I my brother's keeper? And Yahweh could have said, well, no, but the mercy of the Most High endures forever. And he said, no, I'm going to put a mark upon you. And if a man rises up and slay you, they shall pay sevenfold. And this is what's taking place today. This is how the Most High is standing for the defense of the blood of his people. And it's the blood that's continuously being shed. It's the blood that is continually being martyred and celebrated for shedding that is the smoke in the Most High's nostril. And the Most High said this about the blood in Leviticus, the 17th chapter. In the book of Leviticus, the 17th chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 13th verse. And it reads, and whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourn amongst you, which hunteth and catcheth any beast or fowl that may be eaten, he shall even pour out the blood thereof and cover it with the dust. So yeah, Yahweh said, look, you catch a prey in the wilderness and you hunt it down, take that blood, pour it up on the ground, and cover it with dust. Because Yah is about to explain the significance of blood. And it says, for it is the life of all flesh, the blood of it for the life thereof. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, you shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is in the blood thereof. whosoever eateth it shall be cut off. So Yahweh let you know that the life of flesh, it's the blood that's in the life of all flesh. That is the life of all flesh. So don't eat it when you catch a beast that can be eaten. And that means do not go to these damnable hospitals. And as soon as you get sick, they want to start giving you blood transfusions and intermingle your blood with a whole bunch of strange bloods. For Yahweh that already said that the life is the blood. And this is what the Most High is protecting. This is what the Most High is safeguarding. This is what the Most High is being a shield for. Because Yahweh know that the life is in the blood. And there's too many people. There's too many nations. And there's too many people that will stand for the shedding of blood. Because they just don't know the importance of it. Turn with me to the book of Proverbs, the 4th division. And in Proverbs 4 and verse 23. Proverbs 4 and 23 it reads, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So Yahweh is letting you know, keep our heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. And this is what Yahweh had told Cain. Yahweh had told Cain, look, if you do good, shall you not be accepted? But if you do evil, sin will lie at your door. And this is the door that the Most High has commanded his people to keep with all diligence, to protect it, to guard it, to make sure that we do the best that we can to keep this thing safe, because out of it is flowing the issues of life. Now society will have you to think that all the heart does is pump blood. But no, it's an entrance. And once it's been entered into, and once it's been corrupted, the whole body is corrupted. The whole existence of life is corrupted. This is why Yahweh said, look, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issue of life. The issues of life are pertaining to what Yahweh said in the book of Leviticus, the 17th chapter. Life is the blood of all. Blood is the life of all flesh. This is what Yahweh is telling his people to keep with all diligence. And this is one of the major organisms that pumps blood throughout the body, that pumps life all throughout the body. This is how Yahweh has set it up. And far too much have we not been keeping diligent of our hearts. Not just literally, but also metaphorically. Because we allow anything to enter into our hearts. Whether it's defiled foods, whether it's defiled words, whether it's defiled thoughts, whether it's defiled meditations. Just too much to enter into the heart, and it's not being kept with all diligence. And when you allow this door to be infiltrated, when you allow this door to be entered into, and when you start to have mischievous, evil, and wicked thoughts and imaginations enter into your heart, then something takes place that is an abomination unto the Most High. And this is recorded in the book of Numbers, the 35th chapter. And in the book of Numbers, the 35th chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 30th verse. And then in Numbers 35 and verse 30, it reads, whoso killeth any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die, Because Yahweh knows that the life of all flesh is the blood. So Yahweh don't want us just going around making accusations as they do in the world today. They're not interested in seeking at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. They'll take it in one witness and start condemning and start saying he should be put to death, or she should be put to death, or she should be excommunicated, or he should be excommunicated. It just be at the mouth of one witness. But Yahweh said, no, if a man killeth a man, then that murderer's blood has to be shed. But it has to be done in an orderly manner. It has to be at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. But one witness can't rise up and just say, well, that man's a murderer, or that woman's a murderer, and then all of a sudden they get stoned to death. No, because Yahweh knows how important that the blood is. And Yahweh is already passing down his judgment because innocent blood has been shed. But let's continue reading. It says, moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death. So that means that all these prison houses, that's exactly what they're doing today. They're housing and incarcerated murderers. Not just hearsay murderers, real murderers. They got them and give them a life imprisonment sentence. So now they just sitting there, eating and working every day inside of a small cell or inside of a prison house. But that's not the judgment of Yah. Let's read what the judgment of Yahweh is. It says, moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death. And you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So Yahweh is letting the judgment be known. The city of refuge, that's for men that have committed manslaughter. That means you didn't have no ill intent. There was no malice in your heart to slay your brother. It happened on an accident. So you were sent to the city of refuge, and you were to remain there until the high priest dies. Because this is how much Yahweh cares. This is how much Yahweh maintains life. But this judgment is not for no murderer. No, the murderer can't flee to the city of refuge because he willfully, purposely took life. And then let's continue reading. So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are. For blood, it defiles the land. Yeah, this is why Yahweh told Cain, your brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. But now I'm going to cause the earth to open up and accept your brother's blood. But cursed be Cain, because the land is now defiled. And it says, for the blood, it defiles the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Yes, Yahweh said that the only way that this can be made good is if the murderer's blood is shed. Because this is the only way that the balance will be brought to the matter. Not put them in the prison houses for life. Not give them the death penalty and then have them sitting on death row for 15 to 20 years. No, this was instantly. As soon as the judgment went forth, as soon as the witnesses were established, they had to go. Because the land is defiled as long as the murderer is walking upon it. Now just think about how much of our people's blood have been shed in this land. And murderers have gotten away scot-free. Well, by their eyes, they think they've gotten away free. And not only are they not in prison, but they walking around and they passing judgment on the same people whose blood that they have shed. But this is not how Yahweh has set it up for the righteous. Yahweh loves his people. And Yahweh always has his people on the forefront of his heart and mind. This is why Yahweh said that our names are embalmed on his hand. This is why Yahweh has given us the law. And he said this in the book of Exodus, the 20th chapter. In the book of Exodus, the 20th chapter, I'm going to begin reading I'm going to read the 13th verse. And it's the reason why this 13th verse is the sixth commandment. Because this is that pertains to man and beast. Where the life of all flesh go, that's where the blood is, the life of all flesh. And in Exodus, the 20th chapter, and the 13th verse, it says, thou shalt not murder. But even when it says here, thou shalt not kill, that's still, you can still use that. Because why would you kill? Why would you murder? Why would you shed innocent blood? And why would you kill just for the purpose of doing it? If they were going by this law today, there wouldn't be so many of these mishaps that's happening between the law enforcement and people that look like you and I. There wouldn't be none of this shoot to kill if they were obeying and hearkening. If they understood that the life of flesh, that the blood of life is the life of all flesh. If they understood this, then they will proceed more cautiously. But no, because they don't consider this, they move carelessly. And it's nothing to shed blood. Absolutely nothing. Even if the individual don't pose to you a threat, just the thought of you thinking that they pose a threat, they got to go. I seen a town hall meeting take place this week. It was actually last week. It was a video of this sister from Arkansas. And she was passionate because they were trying to bring the stand your ground law to Arkansas. And she was saying, I think this is highly dangerous, especially based off of what's been happening to young black males. And she said, I'm a mother of a young black male. And I'm worried for my son. Because I don't want in someone's head that it's okay because they have a firearm and they see you walking down the street that they could automatically assume that you a threat, pull out their gun and murder you and just get away with it and have laws to protect them from that. And she was passionate about this. And other people around her, they didn't see it as like she saw it because they didn't feel the brunt of the plight of how we feel it. Because our people's blood are being shed on a daily basis, hourly basis, minute basis. And this is what this is why Yahweh has given us law. Because this is why the law is our life and the lengthening of our days. This is not what Yahweh has commissioned for his people. This is not what Yahweh commissioned for his sons or his daughters. And this is definitely something that Yahweh has not commissioned for his shepherds, his messengers, who he has sent to warn his people of his impending wrath. Turn with me to the book of Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter. In the book of Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the very first verse. And it reads, Again, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of your people, and say unto them, When I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast, and set him for their watchman. Yeah, the people said, look, man, we've been watching you, and we would like to make you a watchman. Watch out and warn us of the impending judgment of Yahweh. Well, look at what Yahweh holds the watchmen to. It says, and the people think that they set it up, but they really didn't set up nothing. This is all from Yahweh. But this is just saying if the people they want to do this, well, look at the responsibility that's on the watchman's hand. It says, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, and he blow the trumpet and warn the people, then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. Because he did what he was commissioned to do. He saw the judgment, he blew the trumpet, he warned the people, and the people either hearkened or they didn't hearken, but whatever took place, now just his blood is upon his head. But let's continue reading. Ezekiel 33 in verse 5. And it reads, and he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him, but he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul. But if the watchman see the sword come, and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, and if the sword come, and take any person from amongst them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. So Yahweh said, look, you saw it coming. You saw the sword coming, and you didn't warn the people. You see that this captivity is about to be up, and you call yourself a watchman, but you didn't warn the people. You see the impending judgment that's about to fall upon the people, but you didn't blow the trumpet. No, instead you told them, man, you don't have to keep the law. You don't have to keep the Sabbath day. You can't keep it. You can't keep it all the way anyway, so you don't have to keep it at all. You saw this judgment coming, and you didn't blow the trumpet. Well, Yahweh letting it know. He letting it be known that the blood that will be required at the watchman's hands. Because that's what the watchmen are set up for. They're messengers. And they're messengers set up to warn the people. And because they haven't warned the people, they did not blow the trumpet. Now the people's blood have been shed. And instead of the Most High saying, look, well, they blood just been shed. The blood, the watchman that you set just wasn't a good watchman. No, Yahweh said, look, I'm going to require their blood at your hands. Because Yahweh has set up the decree that the blood is the life of all flesh. This is what the blood is. And Yahweh doesn't stand for the shedding of blood. That's why it says Yahweh doesn't take any pleasure in the death of the wicked. Only that the wicked will turn from their wicked ways and do that which is lawful and right. Yahweh would only want the wicked to turn from their wickedness. But Yahweh knows that there's going to be wicked. Because has any evil happened in the city and Yahweh has not done it? So he knows it. But you have to be a righteous witness and witness for Yahweh. And I'm not going to witness against Yahweh for nobody. Because I don't want any of you all's blood on my hand. So yes, we have to keep the laws. Yes, we have to keep his Shabbats that we can keep in captivity. Yes, we can keep Yahweh's laws in captivity. Yes, we can serve Yahweh and Yahweh alone in captivity. Yes, we can still be holy in captivity. Because why? Because Yahweh commanded us to be holy. And the righteous knows this. And I'm not going to stand for the shedding of your blood. I know my brothers are not going to stand for the shedding of your blood. I know my sister's not going to stand for the shedding of your blood, because the stock of which we come from wouldn't allow that. This is what they prayed to the Most High for. Turn to the book of Psalms, the 51st division. And in Psalms, the 51st chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 11th verse. Psalms 51 verse 11 reads, Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of of your salvation, and uphold me with your free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors your ways, and sinners shall be converted unto you. But deliver me from blood guiltiness, O Elohim, thou Elohim of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of your righteousness. Yes, King David was praying to the Most High, petitioning to the Most High to be delivered from blood guiltiness, because he didn't want to stand for the shedding of his people's blood. He didn't want a bunch of blood on his hands, because this is something that Yahweh takes very seriously. Even if the vast majority of our people don't know how serious Yahweh takes blood being shed, Yahweh takes the shedding of blood very seriously, because Yahweh said that the blood is the life of all flesh. So whether it's from beast or whether it's from man, Yahweh caused his blessing to be upon both. So Yahweh doesn't take any delight in the shedding of blood. That's why it says this in the book of Isaiah, the 1st chapter. And in the book of Isaiah, the 1st chapter, I will begin reading at the 15th verse. And it reads, And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Why? Because your hands are full of blood. Wash you. Yes, our hands are just full of blood. So much that we could have intervened on. So much that we don't put our hands onto. So many things that we have participated in. And all it was at the end of the day was just more blood being shed. We turned our dedication to these idols and started serving these idols. We started serving man. We started preparing works for man and these false idols. Our hands is just full of blood. And this is why Yahweh said, wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes, cease to do evil, and then learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, and plead for the widow. Because this is how much Yahweh is concerned with life. And Yahweh said that the blood is the life of all flesh. And our people are complaining today. Well, man, we just cursed. We just under these curses. Yahweh have cursed us. He don't hear our prayers because we cursed. He don't hear our prayers because we're in captivity. He doesn't hear our prayers because we just cursed and cursed and cursed. Well, Yahweh has purpose exactly why our prayers haven't been answered. And this is what Yahweh said in the book of Isaiah, the 59th chapter. And what are we discussing this evening? Well, Yahweh said that the life of flesh is in the blood. The blood is the life of all flesh. And there's too many people, too many nations that standing for the shedding of blood. And in the book of Isaiah, the 59th chapter, and the very first verse, it reads, Behold, Yah's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, neither is his ear heavy that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your Elohim, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. For your hands are defiled with blood. The same thing that Yahweh said in Isaiah, the 1st chapter. He said, our hands are full of blood. And he said, look, my ears are not heavy that they cannot hear. Neither are my eyes, they're not heavy that they cannot hear. My hands are not short that it cannot save. But Yahweh is letting us know that our iniquities have separated between us and our Elohim. Because our hands are defiled with blood, and our fingers with iniquity. And your lips have spoken lies, and your tongue have muttered perverseness. And none calleth for justice, nor any pleadeth for truth. That's right, none calleth for justice. I know they stand out in the streets every time one of our people get shot down, and they say no justice, no peace. But if you really were standing for peace, then you would be trying to seek Yahweh. Because you're not seeking justice from Yahweh, you're seeking justice from the court system. And the whole court system has been set up to shed and take your blood, to stand for the shedding of your people's blood. So you're really not calling for justice, nor are you pleading for truth. But you trust in vanity, and you speak lies, and you conceive mischief, and bring forth iniquity. That's why blood is being shed on a daily basis. Because there's too many nations, and there's too many of our people that are standing for mischief and bringing forth iniquity. It's too much iniquity that's being brought forth. Why? Because no one is seeking truth, and no one is seeking justice. And this is why our hands are full of blood. This is why the judgment of Yahweh is not being executed, because there's too much iniquity that's being brought forth. You know, captivity is a product of iniquity. You know, curses are a product of iniquity. You know, oppression is a product of iniquity. And it's too much iniquity that's being brought forth. And what Yahweh has said, if you truly care about life, if you truly are concerned with life the way that I'm concerned with life, then you will stop concerning yourself with things and with nations that stand for the shedding of your blood. Because the blood is the life of all flesh. Turn with me to the book of Proverbs, the 6th division. And there may be some people say, well, man, this lesson not for me, because I don't stand for the shed of the blood. I'm not out there murdering. I'm not doing any of these things. Well, if you out there teaching, or if you out there speaking to people that you can't keep the laws of the Most High, then this is exactly what you standing for, the shed of the blood. Because this is not going to bring, Yahweh not delighted with his people rebelling. Yahweh said return. And how do we return back unto Yahweh? By keeping this law, by keeping his commandments, by keeping his statutes, his judgments. Not by telling people you can rebel against the Most High because you in captivity, so now you can act a fool. Well, all you doing is just standing for the shedding of your people's blood. But if you truly a witness of Yahweh, then you will witness of Yahweh, just like his servants witness. In the book of Proverbs, the 6th chapter, and the 23rd verse, it reads, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instructions are the ways of life. So if you want to maintain life, if you truly are enriched with the protection and preservation of the blood that Yahweh has Bless you to course through your vein, that courses through my vein, that courses through all living flesh vein, then you would know that we have to go by the commandments of Yahweh. This is the only way that life can even be maintained. There is no maintaining a life without keeping the commandments. And our people just don't know because we have been rebelling against the Most High. And for every moment that we rebel against the Most High, that's more blood that's being shed. Not for us, but as a result of this rebellion. Turn with me to the book of Proverbs, the 13th division. And in Proverbs, the 13th chapter, and the 14th verse, it reads, "The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death." Why do we keep reading about life? Because Yahweh said that the blood is the life of all flesh. And if you want to maintain life, if you want to preserve life, if you want to lengthen life, then we must keep the law and the commandments of Yahweh. This is the only way that we can maintain and preserve this. If we truly indeed care about life. You wouldn't teach rebellion. You wouldn't speak rebellion. You wouldn't witness to rebellion. Because as we just read in the book of Isaiah, it's too much iniquity that has been brought forth. And now we wonder why we can't do the things that we set our hands to do. No, Yahweh's hand is not shortened, nor his ear heavy that he cannot hear. But our iniquities have separated us from the Most High. And it's too much standing for the shedding of blood that's taking place. Turn with me to the book of Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter. And in the book of Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, see, Yahweh commanded us, he said that we must fear Yahweh and then walk in all of his ways and then love him and then keep his commandments, because Yahweh knows in what order on how you will stay following the Most High. And once we do these things in the order of the Most High and get ourselves back in order, then we will start to know what true love towards the Most High really is. Because as a result, it's showing that we don't know the love of the Most High. Because we're not showing the love of the Most High. We too ready to throw in the towel on the Most High. But the Most High hasn't thrown in the towel for his people. Now imagine if the Most High gave up and just said, man, the hell with my people. Let them go where they want to go. Man, we would be consumed in a moment. And we probably wouldn't even make it throughout the night. But because Yahweh showed us his mercy, and because Yahweh has let his righteousness go forth, and because Yahweh is blessing it to be some peace, even in the midst of chaos, we are alive even unto this very day. And this is why I said in the book of Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, and the 20th verse, it says, "Then thou may love Yahweh, your Elohim, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that you may cleave unto him, for he is your life, and the length of your days, that you mayest dwell in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov, to give them." This is what Yahweh has commissioned. See, what you have understanding, to know that our organs are not set up just because that's just the way it happened. This wasn't no big bang. It's Yahweh's Ruach that courses through our lungs and breathes into our breath, into our nostrils, the breath of his life. It's Yahweh's blood that courses through our veins. Now you can understand why Yahweh has commanded us to think clean, walk clean, eat clean, and be holy, because it is Yahweh that is our life and the length of our days, and that we may dwell in the land that Yahweh swore to our fathers. So it got nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the Creator. And Yahweh said this in the book, and Yahweh had this written in the book of Joshua, the first chapter. In the book of Joshua, the first chapter, I'm going to start reading at the 6th verse. Joshua 1:6 reads, "Be strong and of a good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them." See, Yahweh is letting you know, you tired of captivity? Well, then return unto me, because I will give you the land that I swore to your fathers. But I'm not going to give it to you and you out here witnessing for rebellion. You bringing forth iniquity. Your fingers and our hands are just full of blood. Yahweh said, look, I will give you the land, but you got to do something. You got to do something. You got to show me something. And in verse 7 it says, "Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper whithersoever you goest. And this book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success." Yahweh is saying, you want prosperity, you want good success, you want a blessed land, you want to be in the midst of a blessed people, then keep my law. Don't go to the left or to the right of it. Because the very thing that makes us alive is the very thing that has commanded us how to maintain life. The very one that gave us life has given us instructions on how to maintain it. And when we ignore it, well, that's why so much blood is being shed today. Turn with me to the book of Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. Because too many people will stand for this. And they'll say, well, man, Yahweh wants us to keep his laws wholeheartedly, perfectly. But it's got to be in the perfect land where we're not being ruled over. Where did Yahweh say this from? Yahweh didn't get no testimony to this. Yahweh said that the nations would look at the laws, statutes, and judgments and say, what a wise and understanding people that have Elohim so nigh unto them. So what are you talking about? We keeping the laws no matter where we go, whether we in captivity or whether we back home, whether we in Jerusalem or whether we in Babylon, whether we in our own lands or whether we in the perverted land. Yahweh commanded us to keep the law everywhere we go. There is no restriction. Why? Because Yahweh is the creator of the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that in them is. And he said in the book of in Ezekiel, the 20th chapter, and the 11th verse, he said, "And I gave them my statutes, and showed them my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them." Yahweh let us know, look, I done showed you my statutes, and I showed you my judgments. And if you do them, you shall surely live. And he didn't give a geographical location to this particular verse. He said, look, if you do them, you shall surely live. Because Yahweh knows how to maintain life. Why? Because Yahweh is the creator of life. And the same thing that rules today is the same thing that rules tomorrow and forever. Because Yahweh don't change. So I know you'll see a lot of stories where people saying, well, man, you can't eat right. You can't live right. This land polluted. Oh, it's in your foods. It's in your, yeah, we in a polluted land. But Yahweh said Seek ye Yahweh and be holy. Yahweh don't give out no commandments that can't be kept. Yahweh don't give out no orders that can't be followed. Yahweh said be holy, so that means seek holiness. Because if you seek in holiness, you seek in Yahweh. And if you seek in Yahweh, you seek in life. You seek in the very essence, the very creator of the one that gave you life. Turn with me to the book of Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. Don't let nobody, don't witness to have any of your people blood shed. And don't let anybody try to stand for the shedding of your blood. That's why it says, if thou be wise for yourself. Yes, I love my people. Yes, I know that Yahweh is the judge. But I know that if you talking some craziness, I got to get away from you. If you telling me I can't keep the law, then I know for a fact Yahweh not with you. I don't care what your name is. I don't care what status you have in the nation. Yahweh just not with you. If you speaking against Yahweh's Shabbats, Yahweh just not with you. He just not with you. Now you may sound bright to those that don't know as much, but to those that are learned and have a learned ear, oh man, you just showing how the Most High is not with you. Like, look, we can get together and we can break bread, but if you gonna stay in this state, the only way that we can come together if we can break bread, talk about Yahweh and talk about this law, because some crooked things got to be made straight. If you out here talking about we can't keep the law and that the law is not this and how polluted the land is, well, the Most High said, the Most High gave the testimony to Daniel. We said, look, I will not defile myself with the king's meat, nor with the king's wine, because he knew that no matter what was going on in the surrounding, he knew that the meat was definitely defiled and the wine was defiled, so he could keep himself away from that. But now we just overboard. Well, man, you can't drink the water. You can't eat fruit. You can't eat vegetables. Man, you can't wear the shoes. You can't put on clothes. You can't wear the fringes. You can't do this. This is why it says this in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter, and the 16th verse. It reads, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself overwise. But why should thou destroy yourself? That's all you doing. You being overly righteous, trying to be overly wise. Man, I just read I just see the story where they talk about the air got particles of pork in it. So you know what? I'm just not gonna breathe. Well, all you're gonna do is destroy yourself. You just being overly righteous. Because this is not, Yahweh knew this land's polluted, but Yahweh still say, be holy. Because is there anything too hard for Yah? Absolutely not. It may be too hard for you. It may be too hard for me, but there's nothing too hard for Yahweh. But just as Yahweh said, don't be righteous over much, be not much over much wicked either. So don't just be like, well, you know, forget it, man. So guess I'm going down to the barbecue hut, Swine City, man. Give me the pork chops, the barbecue ribs, and the diet iced tea. Cause we just in the polluted land. Like, no, Yahweh don't take no joy in this either. Cause he said, why should you die before your time? And people think that death is, well, I guess it's when the Most High. Yeah, it's when the Most High ultimately, but you can die before your time based off of our decisions, based off of our words. That's why I said in the book of Proverbs, death and life is in the power of the tongue. Just how you can speak life, you can speak death as well. And this is why Yahweh commanded us not to do this in the book of Leviticus, the 19th chapter. Almost 55. Okay. Huh? Okay, so we almost. Okay. In the book of Leviticus, the 19th chapter, and the 16th verse, it reads, "Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer amongst your people, neither shall you stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yahweh." Yeah, all these things just cause confusion. It gets blood boiling, going up and down as a talebearer. Somebody walked up to, man, I heard so-and-so did this. Oh, man, I was about to tell you I heard so-and-so. And all we doing just going up and down as talebearers. You don't have nothing confirmed. You don't have nothing established. It's just a bunch of murmuring, complaining. And the Most High said, look, don't go up and down as a talebearer. And don't stand for the blood of your neighbor. Your neighbor may come out one day. They ain't listen to a word you ever say about the Most High. They may come out one day and ask you like, well, man, I was about to wash my car. Is that cool to do on Saturdays? Man, don't stand against your brother. I don't like him, so yeah, wash your car. Oh, you a Gentile. Yeah, wash your car. Don't stand for the shedding of the blood of your neighbor. Magnify Yahweh. Sanctify Yahweh. And say, no, you can't do that today. You can't do that today. We got 6 days to do our labor and our pleasures. But on the 7th day, that belongs unto the Most High. And why did it end with I am Yahweh? Because this is who's giving the command. This is the one that's given life. So how you going to maintain life going against the life giver? This right here is altogether confusion. Turn with me to the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. And in the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 12th verse. And it reads, "Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and established a city by iniquity." You see how blood and iniquity go hand in hand? They always seem to be next to each other. This is why the Most High's wisdom commanded us to let us know to keep our hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. This is what it does. It maintains life. Out of it flows the issues of life. And it say, man, woe be to him that build a town with blood. Just like these towns, these cities, these neighborhoods that have been built off of the blood of Yahweh's people, and off of other nations, and even off of the oppressors. If they got to throw their own in the fire, they willing to do it. It say, look, woe to those that build the town with blood and establish a city with iniquity. Why is it woe unto them? Because you know that this is an abomination. This is something that will not last. This is something that is sure to fall. People say all the time, man, the Bible justifies slavery. You can find out what they did. No, you can't. Yahweh didn't justify what happened to our people, not one bit. But Yahweh knew what would happen when he sent us in the midst of our enemies. But look at what Yahweh feels about the enemies that have done this. Turn with me to the book of Zechariah, the 1st chapter. In the book of Zechariah, the 1st chapter, and the 15th verse, it reads, "Am I very sore displeased? with the heathens that are at ease? For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Yahweh say, yeah, I was vexed with my people, and I sent them to the heathens, but they helped forward the affliction. They gave you religion, and they still hug you from trees. They told you JC love you, and they still hug you on crucifixes. This is what the heathens did. These are what the heathens are doing. They'll tell you that you got to vote and put people in office, and they still oppressing you. And all these things you think have escaped the eyes of the Most High, the ears of the Most High. No, Yahweh's hand is not short that it cannot save, neither is his ears heavy that it cannot hear. But our iniquity has separated us from the Most High. We have to shed this iniquity. We got to stop learning the ways of these heathens. And what these heathens have done to our people, they're not going to get rewarded for this. They're going to face the judgment of Yahweh just like Yahweh's people has to face the judgment of Yahweh. We just don't want the same judgment. Because look at what Yahweh said he would do to these nations in the book of Isaiah, the 49th chapter. In the book of Isaiah, the 49th chapter, and the 24th verse, it reads, shall the prey be taken from the mighty, of the lawful captives delivered? But thus saith Yahweh, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contend with you, and I will save your children. And I will feed them that oppress you with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with the sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I am Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Yaakov. This is the judgment that Yahweh has for the nation. So they're going to be drunken with their own blood. Since they were drunken with shedding your blood, they're going to be drunken with their own. Because no nation will escape the judgment of the Most High. No nation will escape the wrath of the Most High. And because Yahweh has already ordained it, because Yahweh has already said that the life of all flesh is the blood, and because the same blood that courses through our Elohim vein courses through ours, the same Ruach that we breathe is the Ruach of our Elohim. Yahweh has not been delighted with his people's blood being shed the way it has been shed. The same way he felt about Cain when his blood was shed. Abel when his blood was shed. This is the same way that Yahweh is feeling for his people. And Yahweh said this in the book of Isaiah, the 66th chapter. Last verse. And in Isaiah, the 66th chapter, I'm going to read the 20th verse, start at the 20th verse. And it reads, and this is what Yahweh will cause all the nations to do. The same way that we were oppressed and vexed and the tail and not the head, the same way that we were humiliated, Yahweh said in the last days, those that were humiliated will get honor, because before honor is humility. And look at what takes place in Isaiah the 66th chapter and the 20th verse. It says, and they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto Yahweh out of all nations, upon horses and in chariots and in litters and upon mules and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith Yahweh, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Yahweh. And I will take of them for priests and for Levites, saith Yahweh. Yahweh has said that, look, I will take for them for priests and for Levites, because Yahweh loves his people to know that the same blood that courses through our vein is the blood of our Elohim. And he don't stand for the shedding of our people's blood then, and he's not standing for it now. So don't stand for the shedding of your people's blood. And don't let someone stand for the shedding of your blood. Seek righteousness. Seek meekness. Seek Yahweh. So until tomorrow, Yahweh loves you, and so do we at the house of Yisrael. Shalom.